we have to start off with last night's game. We have to start off with last night's game because of the simple fact of the matter is that the Pittsburgh Steelers lost. The Pittsburgh Steelers lost. They dropped the Thursday night game to a divisional opponent in the Cleveland Browns 24-19. They did score 2 late touchdowns with about under 4 minutes left to go to take the lead 19-18, but they ended up giving it back. They said, Cleveland Browns, we don't want to win. Go ahead and let Nick Chubb and, actually it was Jameis Winston, right? Dive into the end zone with this battery pack flying out of his helmet. Let him go ahead and win the game. Guys, I've been high on the Pittsburgh Steelers all season long. I think they're still a Super Bowl caliber team. But is this an alarming loss for the versus the Cleveland Browns last night? Is this an alarming outcome for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward? And when we look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, right, look at their last 4 games. Ever since Russ has come in there, they've been on a winning streak, right? They have won 4 in a row, and Russ got his first loss last night. In the last 4 games alone, Russell Wilson has been sacked 15 times. 15 times Russell Wilson has been sacked. And you can call it happy feet, you can call it this, you can call it whatever you want. The simple fact of the matter is the offensive line is not doing very well. 15 sacks is pretty bad. Let's just be flat out honest. On the other hand, Mike Tomlin. Did you guys know he is 0-7 versus divisional opponents on Thursday Night Football? 0-7. This man has never had a losing NFL season. This man is consistently taking the Pittsburgh Steelers in playoff competition or in consideration year after year after year. The Pittsburgh Steelers are always top notch. But 0-7 on Thursday night game versus divisional opponents? How about this? 2-9 overall on Thursday Night Football. Now, when we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys, we talked about this, Wednesday? Because we didn't do a show yesterday. We talked about this Wednesday. Like I said, I asked the question, I proposed the question, what happens if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose to the Cleveland Browns? What happens? And I said, it is what it is, right? It is what it is at the end of the game. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Because you are still top dogs in the AFC. You are still front runners to win the AFC North. You are still a playoff-bound team. But when you watch this game take the records out of it, right? Take the records out of it. Yes, we understand the Cleveland Browns were 2-8 and the Pittsburgh Steelers were 8-2. Take the records out of it. 0-0, week 1. When you look at this game, the Pittsburgh Steelers look like a very unexpired football team. They didn't look like a very, very passionate football team per se, right? Yeah, if it was week 1 and I saw that energy out of my guys, I'm like, this is going to be a long season. But the simple fact of the matter is, it's not week 1. It's not week 18. It's not week 16. Hell, it's not even week 5. It's week 12. Week 12 of the NFL season. We're in the dog days of the NFL season. Let's just be honest. Now, I understand all you Cleveland Browns fans, all you Baltimore Ravens fans, everybody that hates the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're on cloud 9 right now. Oh, you lost to the Browns on primetime TV and the snow glame and whatever, yada, yada, yada. Slow it down, baby. Baltimore Ravens, didn't you guys just lose to this Cleveland Browns team just a few weeks ago? Didn't you just let Jameis Winston come in? No previous starts, fresh off the bench. Actually, he was third-string quarterback, right? Fresh off the bench and let him come in and whoop that ass. Did Jameis Winston just come up there and whoop that ass? I'm asking for a friend at like at this point. What happened, right? So is this an alarming loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers? No. Y'all need to slow it down. Y'all need to take a deep breath, let it out, and slow it down, baby! Because this game means jack moving forward. The Pittsburgh Steelers now have 10 days off. They have 10 days off to get healthy, to get fresh, to get rejuvenated, to warm your toes back up, and they're going to come out there and they're going to whoop that ass moving forward. Stop sleeping on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Stop trying to say, oh, this is a trend. They're going to lose the rest of the games for the rest of the season. Slow it down, baby. I don't care if they lose the rest of the games of the season. They're still making it to the playoffs. They're damn near locked to make the playoffs. They're damn near locked, 94%. Win one game, you're in, baby. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. So, guys, are you concerned about the Pittsburgh Steelers' loss? Are we concerned about them going into Cleveland, playing in a snow game, and losing to the Cleveland Browns? Not only losing, but they had the lead late in the fourth quarter, and their defense gave up a touchdown to Jameis Winston. Not even a touchdown, but a rushing touchdown. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know. Guys, let's go ahead and jump over to the comments and see what the people are saying. Hit the saying. John says, hit the like button and share. Sharing is caring, but the Chiefs suck. Thanks, John. Appreciate that. John says, I like the new format. Well, thank you, man. It took a lot of work to get it. We're kind of tinkering a few things, but we definitely appreciate. Mark D says, the Russell Wilson looked terrible last night. Did he, though? 270 yards passing. I think he was 21 for 28 with one touchdown. That looks like a pretty good stat line to me. Didn't look too terrible. I mean, he got sacked like 6 times, 5 times, whatever it was. Yes, Russ had his moments of greatness and badness, I guess. I want to say worseness, but that's not a word. But badness, not being great. But he didn't look terrible last night. Come on, man. Show. John says, this just shows there's a lot of weakness in their offense. Yes, their offense is ranked 18th in the NFL. They're not very good. They're not very fluid. And I have yet to see Mike Williams really make an impact. On Wednesday's show, when we were preparing for the show, I was like, I want to see Mike Williams. I want to see him get 10, 11 targets. Maybe only catch 3 or 4 balls, right? But damn it, throw the ball his way. Hell, I think I only seen him on the field like for 6 plays. It's been Van Jefferson and George Pickens and what's the tight end's name? That big old 6'8" guy, Washington. That has been their offense. Why trade for Mike Williams if you're not even going to use him? Come on, baby. Use him. Use him. John says the team scanned and we will beat them. John is a Detroit Lions fan. So I'm assuming the Steelers and Lions Super Bowl is in John's future there. Mark says Russ runs into sacks. He's led the league for years. Well, he wouldn't have to run anywhere if the line would just protect. He wouldn't have to worry about jumping up in the pocket if the line would just protect. The Pittsburgh Steelers got pressured 46% of the time on dropbacks last night. So basically, every other time Russ or Justin Fields would drop back, there would be pressure. There would be somebody in their face. It is hard to be great when that happens. Let's just be honest. It is hard to be great when that happens. Jim Powell says, I hate to see the sequels win, but I also hate to see anyone lose to the Browns. John, Jim, you were in a lose-lose situation there, man. Let's just be flat and honest. John had no chance of being happy last night. An average of 3 times a game. What was that, sacks? 3 sacks a game? I don't know. It could be higher. Mark D says that's the only big reason why Peyton didn't like Rush, because he ran into sacks. No, the only reason why Sean Payton didn't like Russ was because Russ was kind of stuck in his old ways, right? Team 3 was here to stay. Had his own parking spot, had his own posse around him. Team 3, we don't need you, Sean Payton. Get out of here. You're old school. You're old school. And John says, yeah, because Russ is a headache. Or a head case. Russ is not a head case. Come on. Stop dogging my man. Stop dogging Super Bowl champion Russell Wilson's going to get another one this season. Stop hating on the man, y'all. Stop hating on the man. James Chamberlain says the AFC North Division games are always a crapshoot. All the teams hate each other. And that is why the NFL is flexing these games, these divisional games, divisional rivalries to Thursday night. It's because it doesn't matter the time. It doesn't matter the time or like the date. It doesn't matter the weather outside. It's going to be a dogfight between the Broncos and the Chargers, the Chiefs and the Raiders, the Steelers versus Browns. This is why we love the divisional games. It's because legitimately any given Sunday, your team can win. Brown shouldn't have won that team or won that game. Brown should have not have won that game. You play that game over on a dry field, the Steelers probably wax that ass. It was a perfect storm. I believe they're calling it like a cyclone bomb or something like that, right? It's in there. It's dumping snow, the lake effect snow, this and whatever, right? It's what it is. Justin Osborne says that the Steelers cannot beat top-tier teams. Interesting fact. So you know what that tells me is that the Baltimore Ravens are not a top-tier team. Did the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens? Yes or no? They did. So that tells me that Justin Osborne is telling me that the Baltimore Ravens are not a top-tier team. Justin, do you care to contradict of what you said? Because when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they haven't beat top-tier teams, they've beaten the Falcons. They're a playoff team. Should, in theory, be a top-tier team, right? They beat the Denver Broncos. They're a playoff team. That should be, in theory, be a top-tier team. They beat the Ravens, right? Arguably a top-tier team. They beat the Commanders. People have been hanging from the Commanders' nuts all season long. They got to be a top-tier team. So what do you mean they haven't beat any top-tier teams? I just listed 4 right there, not counting the Chargers. There's 5. They beat the Chargers. They're a playoff team. That should make them a top-tier team. Like, Justin, this is your chance to recant of what you said. Like, they can't beat top-tier teams, but they can, and they have. And they're going to show it again when they play the Ravens the Saturday before Christmas, when they play the Eagles the week before Christmas, right? And then they play the Chiefs on Christmas Day. The Steelers are going to be a prove-it team, and they've beaten top-tier teams. They're going to continue to beat top-tier teams. Slow it down, baby! James says, was the Steelers' old line, or was it Cleveland's defense finally playing up to expectations? And James, I have to tell you, it's probably a little bit of both, right? The Steelers' offensive line has been kind of dog poo-poo the last 3 weeks. The last 4 games, 15 sacks. That is tough. But the Cleveland Browns, the reason that many people expected them to win the division this season, be battling for that number 1 NFC North crown, right, was because of their defense. I don't know who number 9 is. He's like the outside linebacker, really skinny guy for like a linebacker. So he looks like kind of like a jack backer, walk up safety into that linebacker hybrid role. He is a loudmouth, cocky little arrogant prick, and he is perfect for the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett, reigning defensive player of the year for a reason, because he's a dog. Juan Thornhill and Newsom finally stepped up and started popping some people. Cleveland's defense definitely stepped up, but the rest of the the Steelers' offensive line is not very good either. And I was actually surprised them to get as much pressure as they did without Jadarius Smith, right? Because Jadarius Smith with Myles Garrett was that perfect 1-2 punch. Now he's not there. Myles Garrett's still doing his thing. Myles Garrett is still the dog. Myles Garrett, defensive player of the year yet again. I'm just saying, slow it down. John says Steelers are going to drop a few more remaining games and make the playoffs, but out in the first round. And to be honest, John, I think you are exactly right. I honestly expect the Steelers to lose to the Eagles and the Ravens, both on the road in the following weeks. And then I expect them to beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day, but I could see 2, if not 3 more losses for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not because they're not a good team, just because they kind of got a gauntlet of a schedule, right? They play the Bears, or say they play the Browns twice in 3 weeks. I hate when the NFL does that. I don't understand why they do that. You have 18 weeks to schedule 2 games. You do them 2 games in 3 weeks. That is stupid, right? But then they play 3 games in just 10 days, right? They play at the Eagles, at the Ravens, and the Chiefs at home. That is a tough little stretch. They're going to drop 2 of those 3 games. And hell, they might lose week 18 versus the Bengals because they don't have to play anymore, right? They're going to be resting. But yeah, I could see 2, if not 3 more losses for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I agree. A 6-loss season is not out of reach. Not out of reach at all. Justin Osborne comes in and tries to defend himself. He says that is the difference. Division games and Baltimore beat themselves, not Pittsburgh beating them. Look at the Steelers' playoff record lately. Look at this Ravens playoff record lately. Lamar Jackson has 2 playoff wins. 2! All the time the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs the last few seasons, they weren't even supposed to be there, right? Last year, did anybody expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to make the playoffs at all? How about this? Does anybody remember who the Pittsburgh Steelers played last year in the playoffs? They played the Buffalo Bills. Hell, Steelers fans don't be like, oh, yeah, we did make the playoffs last season. We got our asses kicked in the first round, but yeah, we did lose. We did lose. So Justin's trying to compare the Baltimore Ravens playoff record with the Pittsburgh Steelers playoff record. Since Lamar Jackson has been in the league, right? The Baltimore Ravens have 2 playoff wins, and the Steelers have maybe 1. I don't know, but they do not have more than 3, right? It is what it is. It is what it is, right? You want to talk about wins? The Detroit Lions, they have 3 playoff wins forever, since like 57. It is what it is, right? It happens. Playoffs are a different animal. Jim says, is Bubby Brister still on the Steelers practice squad? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Derek says, that game put me in a winter mood. It was a great game. Listen, I love snow games. I absolutely love it. Was it the Buffalo Bills taking on maybe the New York Jets a couple years ago when, first of all, they had to like shovel all the snow out of the stands, right? They were paying people like $20 an hour to do that. But then in the middle of the game, it legit looked like you're looking through a screen white and you're just like, what? I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it. John says, oh, Pittsburgh turns into the Grinch versus the Queens. Yes, the Steelers probably beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day. It is what it is. And Derek says, when they added the next game, everyone should get the day bye. Should even be close division games. Derek, I'm not for sure what you're trying to say. So you're saying after you play a divisional game, you should get a bye week? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't think so. And Christmas in Pittsburgh. I will be in Pittsburgh on Christmas Day. I will be cheering on my Chiefs.